Thanks for tuning in and welcome to this week's review of Live Free or Die Hard starring Bruce Willis.
Showtime.
I'm doing America a favor. Is the country willing to pay for it?
FAA just issued a critical alert. The entire network went down.
Transportation system is crashing and they just hit the entire financial sector.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
I'll take it from here.
You just killed a helicopter with a car! I was out of bullets.
I think we're all fond of the first Die Hard movie, and they pretty much went downhill after that. Now, they weren't horrible movies, they were all entertaining, but the first movie was such a smash hit that it would be hard for any franchise to match the brilliance in the casting, acting, and execution that they accomplished in the very first film. One of the funniest things about the original movie Die Hard is the horrible continuity errors within the film. Now, I never really cared too much about the continuity errors unless it's like a different actor or something, like in Bruce Lee's last movie, Game of Death.
Patience, that's not one of our virtues.
Now, I really don't nitpick movies in that way, but the whole point of discussing this is that it really didn't matter what type of small errors they made while making this film. It was simply a great, funny, action-filled movie that we all love to see over and over again. And the Die Hard movies are almost a textbook definition of what a good popcorn movie should be. The Die Hard franchise has always had top-notch casting in every film. And if you look at the actors that have been cast in the Die Hard franchise, it really does read as a who's who in film. It's almost like having bragging rights over other actors. And this film is no different. The casting is easily one of the strongest parts of this movie. And it is amazing that after almost 20 years since the first Die Hard, that Bruce Willis can still pull off this character, John McClane, and he does it pretty well. And Justin Long, the Apple Dude, does an excellent job of almost reprising his commercial role for this movie as the hacker/computer whiz.
Don't worry, Scrub. Now there are plenty of tards out there living really kick-ass lives. My first wife was tarded. She's a pilot now.
And Timothy Olyphant is also an actor that I've liked in almost every role I've seen him in. And one of my favorite roles was his character Kelly in The Girl Next Door. But I'm sure that most of you know his work from the HBO series Deadwood. Maggie Q is also impressive as Timothy Olyphant's right-hand girl, and who can forget Kevin Smith? As most of you already know that I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I love his work as a director, but as an actor he's just as good. And I think he's a better actor than maybe some people give him credit for. I really wish he'd do more movies in front of the camera instead of just behind it. The acting is also great, and this franchise has never really had a problem landing good actors, so the acting has never been an issue with this franchise. The only thing that really bugged me in this movie were some of the scenes with his daughter. And in the beginning, they introduce her character and she comes off so bitchy. And I just think it was so unnecessary, and it really didn't have to be done that way. And remember, this is the first time we ever see her character, and we really shouldn't think of her as a typical bratty teenage daughter. And I'm not saying that she has to be all hugs and kisses, but this is the first time we see her in the movie, so I really wish she didn't come off so edgy. I also love how in the beginning of the movie, she doesn't really want to call him Dad. But boy, when she gets in big trouble, she has no problem calling him Dad then. And everyone's all big and bad until they're in real deep shit, and then they calm that attitude down quite a bit. The main problem this franchise has always had ever since the first installment was trying to meet or beat expectations. And as a sequel to such a good movie, sometimes bigger isn't always better. I don't think any Die Hard movie was a total flop, but number 2 and 3 were a decent slip below the first installment. Now, I haven't seen 2 or 3 in quite some time, but I do think 3 was probably the weakest in the franchise. So I knew one thing when I first saw the trailer for this movie: it was going to be bigger and more action-packed than any installment yet. And this did concern me a little. I own all 3 of these on DVD, and I was worried about this movie being more like True Lies rather than Die Hard. And let's just remember that John McClane is a beat cop, not a superhero. And from the preview, it looked like he had his own comic book. And I thought the only thing missing was a cape with a big S on his chest. Now, there are some really good parts in this movie, and it does have some good dialogue and some funny banter between the characters. And one of my favorite parts is when Justin Long talks about the censoring of the news, and it's so true. More and more Hollywood movies are starting to gripe about how the news is reported, and I really think people need to pay attention to how much filtering is being done with the news we receive. And I also like the fire sale concept in the movie, and they did use some pretty creative ways to do their attacks, and it's not the same old tactics. This movie does think outside the box for how terrorists would attack the system. And I also like the scene where they use the OnStar to get the car going. I thought that was pretty funny and entertaining. As far as the plot goes, it's virtually the same plot as all the other movies in this franchise, so there really isn't anything new as far as that goes, except for this time he has a daughter instead of the wife like in the first two movies, and in the third movie Sam Jackson was basically his partner. When it comes to action, this movie doesn't have any action. It has hyper action. Some of these sequences are pretty amazing, and this movie doesn't let you down as far as the action goes. And the pacing of the movie is pretty good throughout. Now there may be a couple lulls in this movie, but definitely nothing real bad. And this movie does have plenty of action throughout, and it is pretty good action too, not just corny action sequences. I think there are a few scenes that were a little ridiculous. Actually a lot ridiculous, and you've seen those in the trailer. They weren't bad enough to ruin the movie, but since you know all this stuff is done on a green screen, it's really hard to make you feel like the character is ever in any real danger. And if you ever want to be on the edge of your seat, watch Zoe Bell in the hood of the car in Death Proof. Or see almost any of the older Jackie Chan films. Now those can really make you cringe. And that's what some of the action movies are missing today. The action is good, but they really don't make you feel like the character is ever truly in any real danger. The execution of the film is pretty good, and I did enjoy the movie and think that most people will have a good time. Live Free or Die Hard is a nice addition to the franchise, and it gives you a good amount of action and suspense to make you feel like it deserves a name, Die Hard. As like any sequel, the fourth installment is not nearly as good as the original, but it doesn't disappoint either, and this summer, that's nice to see. The ending really has nothing remarkable or truly original, and it doesn't disappoint, but at the same time, it doesn't really make your jaw drop either. So I would say that it satisfies, but it won't really stay with you in any real way. Overall, I would say, if you like the other movies in this franchise, then you should enjoy this installment. It is a good time, and I do feel it does give you your money's worth. From overall rating, I give Live Free or Die Hard 3.5 stars.
CB radio? A little low tech for you guys, isn't it?
Low tech. See, that, my friend, is an end-of-the-world insurance system, okay? So when the last microchip goes down, I'm gonna be able to stay in touch with whoever's out there, whether they be zombies or not. I'll tell you that right now.